These are the situations where you all just have to root for me to not pull my yawn out of the garrison while I'm open for the fight. Yeah. No, because I always reach over to the right to the portraits. So, because yeah, you have to drag, you have to target the next thing. Oh my god, oh my god. Oh my god, bro. Dude, no, dude. Eli, I haven't done it in like, somebody make it captain. I can't click on the thing. Oh my god. It's because I'm just like, I was never gonna do it, and then I just like, I'm talking and I'm just an idiot. Like I know, man. I'm sorry, guys. I haven't done that. I haven't done that all KVK, and I haven't even come close. No, because I just like lost focus. I overly lost focus. Yeah, no, I just, because I just like, I'm always focused on it, and yeah, I'm very sorry. That will not happen again. That will not happen again.
Hi everybody, this is Brian Kuh with another ROK video, and what you just saw is me pulling my garrison captain out of a flag being rallied mere seconds after joking on voice that I might accidentally do that. And it's really useful to be someone who records their play and is able to go back and look at what actually happened. Because here's what took place. I have a very standard movement where I select all my marches with my keyboard, then I reach over to the commander portraits on the right side, I grab one of those portraits, and then I drag the line to the next enemy I want to target. And in this fight, you're seeing me target that Nevsky portrait over and over again, which is just above the Jan March. I'm grabbing the Nevsky portrait because it's the closest to where my cursor was, and so it's the shortest movement with my mouse. And when this happened live, as you heard, I thought what happened is that I lost focus and accidentally grabbed the wrong march. But now watching it, you can see what happens. My Boudica march dies, and then when the Boudica march returns to my city, all of the commander portraits move up one level. And so when I make the exact same mouse movement again, it reaches over and grabs the Jan instead of the Nevsky. And so if I had not been able to watch this footage again, I would have assessed my problem as being something totally different than what it actually was. I thought that I lost focus, but really I just didn't understand the mechanic that when one of your marches returns to the city, all the commander profiles move up one level. Truth be told, if those portraits moved down one level, I would have never had this problem. But now I'm aware of what I need to pay attention to when being in these situations of fighting in the open field and garrisoning at the same time. Because, you know, as a garrison captain, you absolutely cannot be making these mistakes. These are colossal mistakes that really hurt your team. This was a disaster for us. We took 500k deads, whereas the enemy took almost no deads. It hurt morale quite a bit. We had a number of people who poured it in to reinforce this flag. We were really set up for a good defense. And I single-handedly ruined that operation by making this mistake. let me briefly explain why I like to reach over and grab the portraits on the right rather than using one of the other methods of targeting enemy troops. The reason I don't like the right-click method is because I find it unreliable. There are times where I will right-click an enemy march, it won't actually be there, and my marches will just stop what they're doing and stand still. Other times, I will right-click a march that is there, but maybe I'm just missing the hitbox slightly, and again, the marches just stop and stand still. I could also select the marches on the screen itself. I could hit a hotkey to select all my marches, and then create a line, a dragging line, by selecting the marches on the screen. I did it just there. And that works reliably, but I just find that I'm moving the mouse to different parts of the screen at different times based on where my marches are at the time. So the right side method, the portrait method, is just a very reliable, repeatable method. I'm making the exact same movement every time. I'm very quickly flicking my mouse to the right, grabbing the portraits, and moving around, looking to select my next target. And I am an older gamer who, while I don't have carpal tunnel syndrome, it's something that I worry about. And so my mouse has a very high sensitivity. I'm making very small movements with my hand, and I like that groove I get in of making the same movement over and over again to select all my marches and prime them for their next attack. If you've made it this far in the video, then hopefully you're enjoying the content, and I encourage you to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That's a great way to support my channel and the content that I'm trying to put out there. And I'm just going to go over what hotkeys I use to control my marches, as well as what I should do in the future to avoid the mistake that I made in this video. So what I mainly use is I use two hotkeys that I have bound to D and F. I'll show you what those are now. F is select all troops, and D is select all troops on the screen. And my fingers just stay on those two keys, and those are really the vast majority of what I use when fighting, and it's really mainly the D key. Okay, so like the F key is going to highlight all my marches regardless of where they are, and the D key is only going to highlight the marches that are on the screen. And so, and actually one thing I will point out is that the F key, if your march is in any sort of structure, the F key will not select that march. So the F key is still like a good march to use, especially if you have a march that's maybe just coming back to the battlefront from your city and you want to select it and have it, slowly get towards your other marches. But I'm mainly just using D. And again, what I'm doing is I'm selecting D, then I'm grabbing the portraits on the right, and then I'm just moving around and selecting the march that I want to hit. And then once I target that march, I basically hit D again right away, grab my portraits again, and just wait. I just kind of wait and change targets whenever I feel like it. Now, sometimes I get in a situation where, for some reason, I want to like lose this line. Like I want to select something different. I'm happy with what my marches are doing, but I want to click somewhere else. And in that case, I'll just like right click, and it kind of like cancels the line basically without marches actually moving. Let me see if I can show you that again. I also use the spacebar key quite a bit to stop my marches. But you see I've got the line, and then if I just kind of right click, it'll just cancel that line. So that's really all I do. I'm hitting the D key over and over and over again. Or I'm using the F key for select all marches in case one of my marches is further away. Now, as far as avoiding the mistake, basically what I want, let's imagine, for example, that the Seondeok March and the Richard March are my two garrison marches. They're the two marches that have been out in the field the longest, by the way. The Seondeok was gathering, and the Richard was doing barb camps. So if these two marches are my garrisons, what I really want is I want these two to be at the top of my portrait bar. And the thing you have to realize about the portrait bar is that essentially marches are locked in to the slot they're in. I assume Lilith does that to, you know, make it easier for you to use the hotkeys you have assigned to marches, so you don't have to like constantly remember a different march. But you'll see here, I have the 3 marches, but if I pull the Seondeok out again, actually let me just pull the Richard out first since I have it hotkeyed. The Richard's going to show up below the other marches because no march was assigned there. Now the Seondeok, let me just pull Seondeok out again. I don't think it doesn't really matter what march I'm pulling out here, but I'm just going to use the same march for illustrative purposes. It was a Seondeok Joan march. Now if I pull this out again, this is now going to go above the Richard. I think. Yes, it's going to go above the Richard because the Richard march was not really locked in there, right? Or it's only the marches that are on the screen that are locked, right? So like if I send my Boudica back, right? Then my Boudica will return to the same location, the E slot, because the other marches are in fact locked into their current positions. Whereas if I bring, and I could do the same thing with the Minamoto, the Nevsky, right? The Nevsky could go in and come back out right in the S slot. But if I send the Minamoto and the Nevsky back, then they've become unlocked, and I just can sort of like reset where they go. So like the Minamoto comes out first this time, and the Minamoto is going to appear in a different spot because I pulled him out before the Nevsky. So this is long story short, what I need to do is when I'm sort of getting set up, when I'm filling a garrison for the first time, I need to pull out all of my open field marches first, right? I pull out all the open field marches first, which will then mean that the last marches I pull out, the garrison marches, will be locked in to the spots that are higher up on my portrait bar, which for me are the portraits that I reach for the least. For whatever reason, based on where my cursors are. Oops, let me do this slightly differently. So I'm pulling out all my open field marches right now. And these marches are getting locked into the lower spots on the bar. And now at the end, I will pull out my garrison march. And then that garrison march is locked in on the top, and I'm just never going to really be at risk of reaching it as long as I keep these things set up correctly. So that's, and the last thing I'll note is that I do hit R to retreat sometimes. I use the spacebar to stop, although I used to use the S key, and I just recently changed it to spacebar, but the spacebar doesn't seem to work very well, honestly. This is kind of weird. Why? Oh, maybe it's because I don't have them selected. Okay. I guess the spacebar is fine. But yeah, I use the retreat key a fair bit. The retreat key is like pretty good because it's reliable, right? And I will also try to remember what my hotkeys on the side are, because what often happens is that you know which of your marches is being attacked. For example, a lot of times it'll be the XY that's getting targeted. And so when you know which march is being attacked, what you can do is you can just hit that hotkey, that particular hotkey, and then you can hit the R key on that, and it will retreat and pull the enemy into your troops, depending on where your city is and how, you know, the fight is angled towards your city. You can also, and so a lot of, like, one of the things that will happen, right, is that I will be reaching around, I'll be looking for a target, looking for my next target, but then all of a sudden I will see that one of my marches is being targeted, and I want to just select that march. And so again, what you do is you right click to just cancel that line, and then you select that one march that you want to retreat. Now the only issue then is, if this march is retreating, you cannot redirect the other marches, because if you do hit the D key, you're going to select the march that's being hit as well. So that's how I do things. I'll show you the bindings for the actual, you know, the troop formations here. I just have them bound to the keys around WASD on the keyboard. And then I'm just mainly hitting F and D over and over again, with a side dish of R for retreat and S for stop, or spacebar for stop. So that's how I use the PC client to, most of the time, have good movement and do well in the open field. But as you can see, as you saw earlier in this video, I do screw it up sometimes. And I actually, even though this PC client has been out for quite a while now, I think it's been out for almost close to a year, I had not up to this point learned that when a march dies, it bumps every march higher up on the portrait bar. So that's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. I will have a live stream on Friday evening this week, and I will have another video about the Warriors Unbound KVK coming up soon. And until next time, I will see you all on the flip side.